Thank you. Mr. Frost?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Religious prosecution and violent extremism globally are very serious threats to U.S. security and human rights abroad. Today, on my line, I want to focus in and hone in on religious extremism happening here in the United States domestically, because I believe it's also a very important part of this conversation. Christian nationalism is a form of religious extremism making its way into our policies and undermining our democracy. These extremist actors are co-opting the language of Christianity and religious freedom to push an undemocratic agenda that seeks the very opposite of what they claim to do. And I want to start off by saying I'm a man of faith. I was raised Southern Baptist. I love potlucks. I was in Awana. I got the Sparky Award. I was in youth band for about 10 years. This is a huge part of my life and part of the reason why I'm so passionate about it. As a man of faith, I know that Christianity is not Christian nationalism. I oppose my faith being used to whitewash a racist, violent, and dangerous ideology. Ms. Tyler, I have a few questions for you, but let's start with this. How does religion differ from religious extremism, and why is religious extremism, specifically Christian nationalism, threaten the safety and lives of people in our communities?
Well, I think that religious nationalism is this tendency to merge our religious and national identities, and it can occur along a spectrum, but can also be co-opted by those in power to enforce a certain religious viewpoint on everyone else. And that's why it's such an urgent threat to religious freedom. But it is also, as you point out, an urgent threat to democracy. And it's because it is taking this increasingly violent aspect. And we saw that on January 6th in the way that Christian nationalism was used as a permission structure and as a uniting ideology for people who were here at the Capitol that day in search of a political cause that was then infused with religious fervor.
And what would you say the relationship is between white supremacy and Christian nationalism?
Well, Christian nationalism often overlaps with and provides cover for white supremacy and racial subjugation. That's because the Christian and Christian nationalism is not so much about theology as it is about an ethno-national identity.
Yeah, and Christian nationalists have played vital roles in very violent attacks. Even recently, the killing of 11 people attending services at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. The killing and murder of 9 people attending a Bible study at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, the Emmanuel 9. The killing of 33 people shopping at Walmart and Tops in El Paso and Buffalo. Ms. Tyler, how does Christian nationalism pose a threat to our democratic institutions?
Well, I think all of those examples are what happens when this ideology of Christian nationalism is used by white supremacists to try to justify their violence. It uses the symbols and the language of Christianity to try to justify what is indefensible. And it turns, again, their hatred into a religious cause, into something that they believe is ordained by God.
Most Christian nationalists claim to support religious freedom while at the same time working to have the exact opposite of that happen. Have you noticed a coordinated attempt in America to co-opt the right of religious freedom to try and justify stripping rights away from people?
Well, I do think that language really matters here in definitions, and too often we hear the language of religious freedom being used for what is really religious privilege or Christian nationalism. True religious freedom requires equality for all people regardless of religious belief, and that's why it's so important, as our Constitution promises, that the government will stay neutral when it comes to religion to allow all religions to flourish.
And this threat to democracy has made its way to Congress. I mean, my colleague, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, has said, quote, Christian nationalism is actually a good thing. It is an identity that Republicans need to embrace, and I am being attacked by the godless left because I said I am a proud Christian nationalist, end quote. My colleague, Representative Lauren Boebert, said, quote, the church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church. I'm tired of this separation of church and state junk, end quote, junk being the Constitution and Bill of Rights. The Bible itself in 2 Corinthians actually warns us against this. Paul warned against this. He warned us against people who would preach of a Christ that differs from the true Christ that we learn about in the Bible. That's exactly what Christian nationalism is doing. I condemn religious extremism everywhere, globally and domestically. We have to recognize the threat it poses to our most sacred freedoms and root it out everywhere. And I think it's incumbent, especially upon us as Christians, and me as a Christian, to be at the forefront of the fight to ensure that white nationalism and Christian nationalism doesn't see the light of day. Thank you, and I yield back.
Oh, my Lanta. I hope you got yours, because I got mine. Let's do this.
They say that America is divided politically, and we kind of agree. There's the dumb, and then there's us.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too harsh for the little snowflakes?
This is Right, Left, and Center. This is Right, Left, and Center. No matter what's going on in today's news, politics, social, environment, culture, we're talking about it unabashedly. Real, raw, direct, and funny. Let's rock. This is Right, Left, and Center. And this is your host, Will Jackson.
It's 2024, and I'm back. We got a lot to cover, and we're going to have fun doing it. Man, oh man. Oh, my Lanta. We about to get this. Break it down. This vodka tastes good. Oh man. We're going to talk about Christian nationalism. We also going to talk about the impeachment process that's going on with President Joe Biden. And then we also going to talk about some of the antics in Congress. All right, folks, let's get into this. See, first of all, I just want to let you know that I'm not speaking hyperbole here. All right? The bottom line is this. Christian nationalism is a bunch of racist folks. I'm just going to call it out. And if you know somebody or you hear somebody say they support Christian nationalism, then you look at them and tell them that, hey, I got a problem with you. I got a serious problem with you. See, when you see a lot of minorities, indigenous, brown, black, Jewish people, and you see that they're supporting somebody who actually accepts the endorsement of the Christian nationalists, then you know for a fact that they've got hate and racist tendencies in their blood. Let me explain. See, a political organizer, and a lot of people know him, Huey Long, who is a Democrat, in Louisiana in the 1930s, partnered himself with this guy named Smith, who was a fascist. He just dove in and put it out there plain and simple that he's an anti-Semite and anti-communist. In the 1940s, Smith started the Christian Nationalist Crusade. The Christian Nationalist Party put out flyers and etc. And they really dove into America First and extremist monthly publications called The Cross and the Flag. I'll let you think about that one. Smith was also described as someone who believed that communism was a Jewish plot, and that the communists used black people as their pawns to try to overthrow the white Christian American civilization in the name of communism. Now, you think about, your Marjorie Taylor Greens, your Donald Trumps, your Jim Jordans, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay? You might have a strong conservative view. This is what America was founded on, having your own view. And it's okay to disagree, but it's not okay to hold hatred towards your fellow man. It is not okay to dive into something that is really dividing this country. You talk about the Great Divide. Well, the Great Divide is based upon personalities that just simply won't agree to disagree in a way that doesn't affect the environment, the emotional environment, and safety of many people. Smith also, he peddled the myth of American Christians, founding that his is the founding of his base, including that through his publications, which he had a mailing list over 3 million people. Smith also used the idea to paint non-Christians as outsiders, although his definition of Christian was somewhat narrow. For a while, it was Catholics, Mormons. They were not included in this Christian nationalist umbrella of Christianity. The ideal that America belongs to Christian people, to white Christian people, and the others that they may be tolerated as a kind of guest, as a visitor, as a second-class citizen in the United States, meaning that you don't belong here and get out. You are second-class citizens. Now, I'm just going to put it to you, Frank. A lot of the Christian nationalists are poor white folks that are not educated in a social or intermediate environment. It is what it is. I'm just putting it out there. These are the same individuals that won't go out and pick fruit from a tree because they don't make any money, but they complain about migrants coming in to the country or their city or state to do the jobs that they don't want to do. I mean, this is Christian nationalism. This means they're telling us that these folks, us folks, brown, black, Jewish, any immigrant that come into the United States is not quite the real American. They're not real. And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of the Christian nationalists reside in Washington State, Oregon, Iowa, which I'll play some idiotic stuff from these knuckleheads in Iowa. And it's just going to prove the uneducated piece to their life. They just don't get it. You know, the thing about it, the history is surrounded by patriotism by our founding fathers and how Christian they were. Christian nationalism has always been a deeply rooted anti-Semitic and fascist belief. What does that mean? Okay, what it means is this. The Christian nationalism has seen an increase in the right-wing, Republican, right-wing environment. See, here's, I contribute this to, I contribute this in part of lack of counterweights against, Christian nationalism and within the religious community. One thing that is different in that the counterweight to the Christian nationalism was always a mainline of Protestant churches. See, my research took me down a rabbit hole about this Christian nationalism. And so you're asking yourself, well, Will, normally you dive into the Orange Man and you really light into him. And why are you talking about churches? Why are you talking about religions? You didn't do that in 2023, but now you want to step on the neck of religion. Well, here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. Oh, my lantern. What folks understood was that there was a point that founders would keep and create a separate church and state to protect the purity of the church. Now, throughout history, you find that there was different religions or different churches, such as the Catholic, the Roman Catholic, the Protestants, etc. goes on. And when you look at the 1800s and, the medieval times, they actually was advising kings and queens on, going to war, religious wars. And in some cases, religion wars are still conducted in different countries. I mean, you got Hamas, and then you also have Israel. That, I don't care which way you put it, it's a religious war. Okay? But the thing about it is that there are people within the Gaza Strip that don't support the beliefs of Hamas. You see where I'm going there? You see what I did? See, in 1962, and I don't know if people realize this, but in 1962, the Supreme Court ruled to ban school-sponsored prayers in public schools. This was a turning point for the contemporary Christian nationalists, especially regarding the wider embrace by the American right. The bottom line is this. You have many people out there who are touting what God may say or God has said in the great book, and yet going against that through hate and using Christian nationalism as a platform. There were over 1,000 convictions because of the insurrection that took place on January 6th. Nearly, when you add up the years of those who were convicted, and these are the same individuals touting Christian nationalism and the government must be overthrown, it's over 700 years. These people were sentenced in combination 700 years. They gave up their life. They destroyed their families' lives, their children's lives. They also affected our economy because they're not being productive citizens. And also, by the way, they damaged and destroyed our capital. And yet we have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump, and the list goes on, that, well, I'm not even say Donald Trump, because here's the thing. He don't know if he's a Protestant or whatever. I don't know if anybody's seen that interview. This is the same guy that said that, when asked, what is your favorite verse, what is your favorite version of the Bible, the Old Testament or New Testament? This guy says, well, I really want to answer that, but, kind of private. But, if I had to say, I would say that both of them are pretty good books. And this is this is the Christian nationalism that you see. Half of the people that are touting the Bible and running around here trying to be Bible thumpers don't even read the Bible nor pick up the Bible. If you ask them a verse related to what they've done or what's going on in today's environment, they're not going to be able to do it. Why? Because they're uneducated. It's just that simple. When we come back, we'll dive into a little bit more. But what I got for you now is we're going to listen to a little bit Love and Happiness. See you on the other side right after this.
Love and happiness. Yeah. Something that can make you do wrong, make you do right. Yeah. Love. Love and happiness. But wait a minute, something's going wrong. Someone's on the phone, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, talking about how she can make it right. Yeah, yeah. Happiness is when you really feel good about somebody. There's nothing wrong being in love with someone. Yeah. Oh, baby, love and happiness. Love and happiness. Oh. I'll be good to you. We'll be together. Yeah. To see each other. Walk away with victory. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, baby. Love and happiness. Oh, yeah. Love and happiness. Stay out all night long. Oh, love. Wait a minute. Let me tell you.
you been looking for a podcast that takes you beyond the headlines? A show that challenges you. A show that's real, raw, and unapologetic. Then you've found your new home. Right, Left, and Center.
Right, Left, and Center.
News, the environment, immigration, politics, the criminal justice system, and everything in between. Join Will Jackson every week, your personal guide to understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Listen everywhere podcasts are available. You're listening to Left, Right, and Center, your audio guide to help you understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Now, back to your host, Will Jackson.
Oh yeah, love and happiness. That's what we need in this world. So, when we left off, we're going to pick up where we left off when I was talking about Christian nationalism and how some folks, and especially the folks in Iowa. Now, I know that there's not a lot of folks in Iowa that has that backed up mentality, but you know what? Stupid is, stupid does. And when you listen to these so-called Trump supporters and those who have the inside knowledge on how America should operate, you then begin to wonder, why are these people even allowed to vote? I'm sorry. I'm just putting it out there. Listen to this.
Well, I don't think there's really any such thing as a gay community, because in the Bible it says in Romans 1 why people fall into perversions. And, like, you should all just thank a straight person that we're all here today on the earth and that we can all be friends.
You know, and look at the people that want to oppress this LBGQ or whatever the heck it is, all these transgenders and gays, and I don't believe in all that crap. That's just,
If somebody was, an American who was born gay thinks that the presidency matters and their issues matter, what would you say to that person?
They need to read the Bible. They need to read the Bible. Ain't but one thing you can believe and trust in this world today, and that's God's Word.
Tell me what MAGA means.
Well, America was certainly great when we valued the nuclear family and family values.
And do you think that Trump espouses that? I mean, we'll take him as an example. He's been married at least 3 times anyway that I can think of. What makes him the mouthpiece for all the things that you care about?
I would say that compared to what the Democrats have to offer, I think that he is the best. He is the better of the candidates to espouse that kind of thinking, as opposed to transgenderism and different gender identities, etc., things like that.
To think that a child of 5 or 6 can determine that they want to be a boy because they're a girl, or they're a girl and they want to be a boy, and that the state or wherever they're living has the right to put them through transformation or transition, and the parents don't have a say. Now, that's not legal in all places.
I was going to say, that's not happening. That isn't happening. I mean, like, no, there are people talking about it, but there's no sort of political movement to make it happen for 5- and 6-year-olds.
Oh, yeah? What was the recent Pride events? What were they?
Pride events was Gay Pride, that it's been...
Oh, and the transgender didn't enter into the picture at all? Have you seen their new flag?
Sure, okay. Yeah. But transgender has nothing to do with 5- and 6-year-olds. I mean, but if you're born gay in America, you should be able to have pride.
Do whatever you want, but don't destroy the children. I'm just saying that's one part of the agenda, which is really bad.
I'm not a big fan of LGBTQ, I mean, I think they're garnering a lot of attention that is unwarranted. I mean, they're 1% of the population. So why are we reaching out and doing all this for 1% of the population?
I guess because it's 1% of the population.
Yeah.
I mean, so like if my brother was born gay, I would want him to have all the rights.
I mean, I've got no problem if you're gay and you want to wear a dress or whatever. That's your business, but it doesn't need to be everybody else's business.
What is it about Trump's style that you like?
He doesn't put up with anything. He stands firm in the beliefs. He loves America. It's like, how can somebody be there for everyone? But he manages to get around and to different little towns just like this, and make everybody, he powers people up.
What do you like about Donald Trump?
I like a guy that wants us to be free and, our economy and everything that he did for us.
So the improvements that the Biden administration has made in the economy, have those affected you yet?
Yeah, they've hurt my bank account.
But I'm talking about sort of the inflation going down, some cost of living prices going down. Does that register with you?
I'm not sure it is going down. I mean, everything you see, they say it's going down, but I don't believe it.
Well, I'm just talking about the indexes that we have always followed as a country, that Republicans and Democrats and everyone in between follows. Those are trending in a direction that's favorable, jobs and all of that. So I'm wondering if you've felt that.
Yeah.
You had to laugh at that. I mean, first of all, let's break this down. This is, and once again, I'm calling you out, Iowa voters. You got people that are stepping to that mic and sounding pretty doggone stupid. So first of all, let me make myself perfectly clear. What people do behind closed doors is their business. That's between them and God. I don't have anything to say because we should not be judging other people. Okay, that's one. Two, before you start talking about statistics and all this other stuff, have your facts right. You don't. Okay. And then not to mention when you have people sitting there running off at the nut rest about different things they have absolutely no clue about and got their blinders on. See, the thing about it, this guy's been married 3 times, like I said. Okay. And not to mention he's been convicted by a court for forcing himself on Eugene Carroll, okay, and won a $5 million lawsuit, okay. So the court basically said, you raped this woman, so you got to pay her $5 million, okay. And now he goes back to court. He's got to go back to court for the same thing because as president, he was running off at the mouth about Eugene Carroll, defaming her again. So now she's going to get in that pocket some more. You want to talk about raising up and ethical and moral decisions. He is not that guy because see, here's the thing. While he's married, he's out cheating on his wife. Apparently you guys got your blinders on and you haven't watched or listened to the Access Hollywood, tape. Some of the things he was saying. Hold on. Let me see if I can dig that up. One second. Looking. Oh, here it is. Got it. Okay, so I remember listening to this a while ago. So and I will give you a fair warning that there is some lewd comments that are being said by the 2-time disgraced, impeached, 91 count indicted former disgrace of a man and president. Okay, and so it begs to think about if that's your daughter, okay, and this guy is talking about your daughter, and you think for 1 minute that he cares about your daughter with respect. So I dug it up, I found it, I'm going to play it.
I moved on her, actually. She was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Whoa.
I did try and She was married.
It's huge news, Sarah.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was marriages, and I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping.
Now he continues on by saying different things.
I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there, and she was married. Then all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look.
She's your girl's hot as shit. In the purple.
Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa!
Yes, Nadal has scored!
Whoa!
Oh, my man! Wait, you gotta look at me when you get out of your
Set this up.
That is very...
Will you give me the thumbs
Look
up?
at you. You are a...
You gotta put the thumbs up. You gotta get the thumbs up. Can't be too happy.
Else off first? Yeah, let me.
You gotta get the thumbs up.
You and I will walk there.
Got it.
Maybe it's a different one.
Better not be the publicist. No, it's her.
Yeah, that's her, with the gold. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her.
This guy's disgusting. He's married.
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
So this is who you're supporting? Trump?
Those legs, all I can see is the legs.
No, it looks good.
Come on, shorty.
Ooh, nice legs, huh?
Oof, get out of the way, honey. That's good legs. Go ahead.
It's always good if you don't fall out of the bus. Like Ford, Gerald Ford, remember?
Down below. Pull the hell.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
Trump, how
nice
are
seeing
you?
you.
Pleasure to
Terrific.
meet you.
Terrific. You know Billy Bush?
How are you?
Nice to see you. How you doing, Ariane?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Are you ready to be a soap star?
We're ready. Let's go. Make me a soap star.
How about a little hug for the Donald? He just got off the
Would
bus.
you like a little hug,
Okay,
darling?
absolutely. Melania said this was okay.
Melania didn't say that, okay? And that's disgusting. Simply disgusting. And so when you talk about these folks, I mean, the Christian nationalism, and you see that they're trying to tout value and all this other stuff. They don't know what, excuse my language, but I'm sorry, I was trying not to cuss, but you know what? These motherfuckers are about as dumb as a box of rocks. Their voting cards should be suspended, okay? They don't have facts or anything. In fact, it's not the Christian nationalism. It is the white nationalism, and it is what it is. Okay? That's what it is. And they sound stupid and fucking dumb. I need to take a break. More after this.
Have you been looking for a podcast that takes you beyond the headlines? A show that challenges you. A show that's real, raw, and unapologetic. Then you've found your new home. Right, left, and center.
Right, left, and center.
News, the environment, immigration, politics, the criminal justice system, and everything in between. Join Will Jackson every week, your personal guide to understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Listen everywhere podcasts are available. You're listening to Left, Right, and Center, your audio guide to help you understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Now, back to your host, Will Jackson.
Whew. I had to break away for a second because I found myself getting riled up. If you're supporting and going to vote for Trump, and if you're a family member or a friend and you're listening, don't take this the wrong way. You're fucked up. Now, we're going to move on to something else. Okay, let's talk about Hunter Biden. Okay, so here recently, over the past few weeks and even towards the end of last year, the Judiciary Committee, or whatever the fuck committee it is, they wanted to have Hunter Biden in a private deposition. Hunter Biden said, no, I'm not doing a private deposition. What I'm going to do, what I will do is I'll come sit in front of the cameras, in front of the American people, and you can ask me the questions. You can ask me the questions. But then the chairman of that committee turned around and said, well, you know what? You can do either. So then when his attorneys tried to set up that date, it just kept getting pushed and trying to make him look like the bad guy. So what Hunter Biden did is just showed up. And he just threw them all for a loop. He threw them for a loop. They didn't know whether the shit would go blind. They didn't know what the hell to say except for, let's get real rowdy and ignorant. Okay? Like the one bitch from South Carolina who sat there and told him, you know what? You don't even have the balls. But you know what? Never let her deliver it to you.
He complied with the subpoena.
We would have
expired.
We would have loved that.
Do any other members wish to be heard? Chair recognizes Ms. Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Comer. First of all, my first question is, who bribed Hunter Biden to be here today? That's my first question. Second question, you are the epitome of white privilege, coming into the Oversight Committee, spitting in our face, ignoring a congressional subpoena to be deposed. What are you afraid of? You have no balls to come up here and...
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry.
Mr. Chairman,
if
the ladies recognize...
If the gentlelady wants to hear from Hunter Biden, we can hear from him right now, Mr. Chairman. Let's take a vote and hear from Hunter Biden. What are you afraid of?
Hold on. Order.
Are women allowed to speak in here or no? Are women allowed to speak in here or no? Could you keep interrupting me?
I'll interrupt the chairman. I don't know that he's a lady.
I think that Hunter Biden should be arrested right here, right now, and go straight to jail. Our nation is founded on the rule of law.
Come on.
And the premise that the law applies equally to everyone, no matter what your last
Point of
name.
order, Mr. Chairman. Point of order.
It doesn't matter who you are.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Biggs over here.
Donald Trump Jr.
Biggs over here.
State your point, Mr. Biggs.
Yeah, my point of order is this. Are we going to continue on with this blatant interruption? This is absurd and inappropriate. I intend to give my statement. I don't intend to have anybody interrupted. I'm not going to interrupt your statements. I think you should have decorum and courtesy and don't act like a bunch of nimrods.
You just interrupted a woman.
And that's 5.
I got permission.
Can we agree? Everyone has
Mr.
5
Chairman,
minutes. Can we agree?
Point of order again. The assertion that I interrupted was absolutely false. That's typical of the gentleman who spoke it. I got permission to speak from the chairman. I spoke. I was interrupted yet again by the gentleman who doesn't choose to go through the chair and follow proper order. I encourage us. I think if we're going to have any respect at all, we need to have proper decorum.
Well said. Well said.
I'd like to finish.
The rules are everyone's going to be recognized for 5 minutes. Anyone that wants to be recognized will be recognized for 5 minutes. Ms. Mace has 4 minutes and 13 seconds left. Chair recognizes Ms. Mace.
It does not matter who you are, where you come from, or who your father is, or your last name. Yes, I'm looking at you, Hunter Biden, as I'm speaking to you. You are not above the law at all. The facts in this case are crystal clear. This committee used and issued a lawful subpoena to Hunter Biden, a critical witness in this committee's investigation into Biden family corruption. Hunter Biden and his lawyers did not claim privilege of any kind because clearly he has none. They didn't contest the legitimacy of our reasons for issuing this subpoena, no reasons, because they clearly are legitimate. And yet he refused to comply. Trump's family members, Don Trump Jr., he did not defy a congressional subpoena. He showed up multiple times for multiple depositions for several hours. In doing so, Hunter Biden broke the law. He did so deliberately. You did so flagrantly. You showed up on the Hill, on the Senate side, the day of that congressional subpoena to defy it and spit in the face of this committee. That's what you did. The question the American people are asking us is, what is Hunter Biden so afraid of? Why can't you show up for a congressional deposition? You're here for a political stunt. This is just a PR stunt to you. This is just a game that you are playing with the American people. You're playing with the truth. Hunter Biden wasn't afraid to sell access to Joe Biden to the highest bidder when he was in elected office. He wasn't afraid to trade on the Biden brand, peddle influence, and share those ill-gotten gains with members of his family, including Joe Biden. He wasn't afraid to compromise the integrity of the presidency and vice presidency by involving Joe Biden in shady business deals with our foreign adversaries. But Hunter Biden, you were too afraid to show up for a deposition. And you still can't today. I believe that Hunter Biden should be held completely in contempt. I think he should be hauled off to jail right now, because it wasn't long ago, too, my friends on the other side of the aisle, that you also believed in the power of a congressional subpoena. Not long ago at all. You believed in holding those who refuse to comply with a congressional subpoena accountable. And I stood with each and every one of you. I am the only member in this room today who has held a member of my own party in contempt of Congress for not showing up for a subpoena. And I see nothing but complete hypocrisy on the other side of the aisle. The ranking member of this committee even so eloquently put it, the lesson is, please tell your children out there in America, if you get a subpoena to go before Congress, go. You have a legal responsibility to do so. So the hypocrisy is stunning. What are we to tell our children today? There's nothing the other side can say with a straight face. As the only member of this committee to vote to hold a member of contempt of my own party, let me be clear, this should not be a partisan issue. If Congress issues a subpoena, you show up, period. This is not a responsibility we take lightly. It brings no joy for us to do this, but the president's son broke the law and must be held accountable in the same way anybody else would. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to do so. And my last message to you, Hunter Biden, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Will the gentlelady yield for a question? Will the gentlelady yield? Will my friend yield from South Carolina?
Sure.
I do want to commend the gentlelady who was the only Republican who stood up and voted to hold in contempt the Republican members of the House who blatantly and categorically refused to comply with subpoenas that came from the bipartisan January 6th committee. I would like to ask my friend, Ms. Mace from South Carolina, whether she's aware of all the case law which says that the committee has to engage in good faith interaction with the witnesses they've called, and they're supposed to arrive at a solution. And what do you think about the fact that the chairman on multiple occasions gave this witness the opportunity to come before the full committee, and he agreed to that?
We issued a congressional subpoena, and I know with your constitutional law background, you know exactly what that means, and he should have showed up. And because of your vote and because of your statements, you should be voting to hold this man in contempt of Congress today, right now, if you're going to be consistent on your own policies and your own words.
Gentlelady's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr. Moskowitz for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see you after a long break. So I'm listening to the gentlelady from South Carolina about the witness being afraid to come in front of the committee. It's interesting. He's here. He doesn't seem to be too afraid. In fact, for some reason, the chairman, who on multiple occasions invited the witness to come on TV, apparently the chairman wants to pretend like his statements on television or in interviews don't matter, but it didn't happen once, it didn't happen twice, it happened multiple times. The chairman said the witness can choose whether to come to a deposition or to a public hearing in front of the committee. The witness accepted the chairman's invitation. It just so happens the witness is here. If the committee wants to hear from the witness, and the chairman gave the witness that option, then the only folks that are afraid to hear from the witness with the American people watching are my friends on the other side of the aisle. I don't know if there's a proper motion, Mr. Chairman, but I'll make a motion. Let's vote. Let's take a vote. Who wants to hear from Hunter right now, today? Anyone? Come on. Who wants to hear from Hunter?
Motion's out of order.
No one. So I'm a visual learner, and the visual is clear. Nobody over there. Don't want to hear from the witness.
You know, I'm a visual learner too. And what I witnessed when I seen that going down is that the man was in the gallery. And all they had to do is say, come forward. Let's get this out of the way. But instead, you had that little bitch from South Carolina running her nut rest about him, don't have the balls and he's scared. If a man shows up and wants to give a live deposition in front of the cameras and American people, then guess what? Why don't you just call him up? It just goes to show how much of a disarray that the Republican Party is in. I mean, they've lost. And in 2024, when the elections come up, the Democratic Party is going to end up getting like 3 or 4 seats because the Republican voters are tired of this antics. They're focused on a man who has not served a day in the political world. Okay, he is a private citizen. Okay, it doesn't matter. He's the president's son. Okay, he's already going through the courts to face his day in court because of failure to pay taxes in the tune of, I think, was at $400,000 or something like that. And in sense, he actually paid it back, but they still want to charge him after they pulled the deal from up under him, giving him probation, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so this is what I don't understand. So they're focused on the wrong things. They're not focused on the people's business. They haven't focused on the people's business in the past 2 years. And in 2024, they're not going to continue to focus on people's business. Why? Because they're trying to impeach the president of these United States. Okay? They're trying to impeach President Joe Biden. For what? For what crimes? There is no crimes. And yet they still have this committee trying to find crimes to impeach. It's not going to fly. When they take it to the floor and there's a vote with the Senate and the House on this, it's not going to go through. It's just simply not going to go through. They are not taking care of the House. They're not taking care of the people's house. They're not doing business in the people's house. They're doing a whole bunch of bullshiggity and not getting the job done. We'll talk more about this right after this.
You're listening to Left, Right, and Center, your audio guide to help you understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Now, back to your host, Will Jackson.
Ms. Crockett from Texas.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Before I begin my questioning, I want to remind everyone that the information recorded in the FBI Form 1023 that my Republican colleagues keep citing is not evidence of anything. This form reflects years-old, secondhand, unverified information from a Ukrainian oligarch as relayed to the FBI by a confidential human source. These unverified, secondhand allegations have been repeatedly debunked and undermined, including by the confidential human source who relayed this information to the FBI. The tip recorded in the Form 1023 was thoroughly explored by the U.S. attorney handpicked by Donald Trump, which was Attorney General William Barr, and the assessment was closed. Finally, Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner who worked with the Ukrainian oligarch in question, told this committee in a transcribed interview in July that he had no knowledge of any such payments allegedly described in this form. Repeating the same lies will not somehow turn them into truths. Kind of like the election that Trump lost. Say it with me. He lost it. repeating the same lie that he won wasn't going to turn the election around. The lost in this chamber keep pushing lies and lunacy on behalf of a multi-time loser. So if we're going to talk about China, let's go ahead and talk about China. And let's talk about the dealings. And let me point out the fact that right now, each of you has admitted that none of you are fact witnesses. We walked in without facts. And unfortunately, because what we say isn't necessarily evidence, we have wasted the American people's time, and we are going to walk out of this chamber and we still have no facts that are leading to anything. But let me give y'all a little bit of tea while we're here. So I have a document that I will ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record. It's a fact sheet on President Trump's shady business dealings with the Chinese government.
What are you entering in? A record from who?
This is from the Congressional Integrity
Project, the Dark Money PAC?
I object.
I object to that, too.
Of course y'all gonna object, but we gonna talk about it. So, it says Trump has extensive financial ties to the Chinese government. President Trump collected millions from Chinese government-owned entities while in office. I have the best tenants in the world, President Trump was well aware of the multi-million-dollar lease to Chinese interests. President Trump promised to donate foreign government profits while in office, but he donated less than a third of his proceeds from the Chinese government. President Trump maintained 3 foreign bank accounts while in office, including one in China. President Trump's business with China raised legal and ethical concerns. President Xi loves the people of China. He loves his country, and he's doing a very good job. Let me tell you something. I don't want to talk about what y'all want to act like is some big mystery, because we keep sitting here, and Professor Gerhardt, just to be clear, as my colleagues have even tried to provide evidence, which they're not the ones to provide evidence, have you ever heard them say "if" since we've been sitting here for I don't know how long?
Yes, I've been taking a tally.
Oh, okay. Can you show us? Can you tell us what the tally is?
More than 35 times, the Republican witnesses and Republican members of the committee have used the word "if."
Thank you so much for that. Because honestly, if they would continue to say "if" or "Hunter" and we were playing a drinking game, I would be drunk by now. Because I promise you, they have not talked about the subject of this, which would be the president. But let me tell you something that was so disturbing as I walked in to this chamber today. As I prepared, I said, what is the crime? Because when you're talking about impeachment, you're talking about high crimes or misdemeanors. And I can't seem to find the crime. And honestly, no one has testified of what crime they believe the president of the United States has committed. But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the shitter to me. This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets, 7 counts related to obstructing the investigation, 3 false statements, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, falsifying business records, conspiracy to defraud the United States, 2 counts related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings, 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights, 23 counts related to forgery or false document statements, 8 counts related to soliciting, and I could go on because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And I will yield.
There's a special kind of person. Sometimes he's
final words right after this.
Have you been looking for a podcast that takes you beyond the headlines? A show that challenges you. A show that's real, raw, and unapologetic. Then you've found your new home. Right, Left, and Center.
Right, Left, and Center.
News, the environment, immigration, politics, the criminal justice system, and everything in between. Join Will Jackson every week, your personal guide to understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Listen everywhere podcasts are available. You're listening to Left, Right, and Center, your audio guide to help you understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Now, back to your host, Will Jackson.
Well, folks, we're going to wrap this up. Here's my final words, and I'm just going to be blunt about it. 2024 cannot be repeated like 2023. The Republican House needs to go. Everyone, whether you're Republican or Democrat, independent, you name it, you need to go out and vote. And vote these jokers out of the Congress. Because they're not getting anything done. They're mad about, they can't seem to put together a package to keep the government open until the last minute, which is, their behavior is unprecedented and ridiculous. You know, we need to do, and we need to work to get the right people to do the right things, not some of the time, but all the time. And that's not happening. We've got people flooding into the United States, draining the resources of sanctuary cities. And one of the biggest questions I have in regards to sanctuary cities that is spending millions of dollars on people who want to come into this country, who's fleeing their country. The big question I have is this. Why aren't the Republicans talking about what it's going to take to feed our homeless citizens, our battered and abused women, United States citizens, homeless veterans, United States citizens, United States heroes? I mean, what is it going to take for the Republican Congress to actually get off their ass and do what the fuck they're supposed to do? And so what I'm saying is this. This is the year, every month, every episode, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to say it, I need everyone to go out and vote. Vote these fuckers out. Get rid of your Marjorie Taylor Greens, your Lauren Boeberts, and the rest of these bitches out there, these fucking Jim Jordans and Josh Hawley, and the list goes on and on. They're not doing nothing to help move our country forward. They are just dealing in vitriol and hatred. That's it. And as I said at the beginning of this show, I'm not speaking hyperbole. The writing's on the wall. Everyone sees it. And yet no one wants to face the fact that our democracy is in a big threat, because you got somebody who's running for president again who cares nothing about the veterans, who cares nothing about anything but himself, who womenizes women, and now got 91 counts. I mean, come on. Wake up, America. Until next week, knuckleheads. Love you.
You've been listening to Right, Left, and Center. Real and raw talk about the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. From Republicans to Democrats to progressives. We cover it all. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on Facebook. And for questions and comments, send your email to leftrc22@gmail.com. See you next time on Right, Left, and Center.